I suppose my question is about having completed the training and gone through all the ways of suffering and experienced the suffering. How's your attitude towards people who have not seen the way things really are now?
My attitude towards... Well, in one sense, it's... Well, see, the way it works is that you realise that there's absolutely nothing wrong, and you realise that what you had previously taken to be a separate, autonomous individual, an ego, is actually just an expression of how to put it in without making it all sound gushy and crap. Everything is life, simply the unfolding of life. It's just life expressing itself in all these unique and wondrous ways. So you just accept absolutely life as it is. Well, there's no attempt to accept life as it is. There is just the most perfect acceptance of life as it is. So you absolutely accept people the way they are. And yet at the same time you see that they don't get it, and that they're caught in that trap of believing themselves to be separate, and are therefore caught in this bind, and that causes them to crave for life to be different and suffer as a consequence. So you do feel a compassion for them as well. So you feel a love for them in the sense that it is actually just the universe expressing itself in these wondrous ways, unique ways, and at the same time you feel compassion because it appears the universe doesn't understand that, for the time being at least. So does that help? Because you do just let life be what it is. I mean, even with all the nonsense that goes on and terrible things that go on in the world, at the end of the day, it's just you can almost say like it's just the expression of the rule, the law of Dhamma, the law of life. Yeah, which is still the rule.
Yeah.
You can't really break the rule. It's when the ignorant mind acts out pure selfishness, you get really negative results. When the ignorant mind acts with relative unselfishness, you get really positive results. And the world is turning and spinning, and nobody's in control of it. No one knows what's going on. Everyone's trying to make it up as they go along, and human beings are just that's just the way we are. We have wars. We write poetry. We write music. Sometimes we love each other. Sometimes we hate each other. That's just the way human life is. There are politics. We try to organise ourselves. It works well in some ways. Everyone's trying to find happiness and satisfaction through worldly means. Some achieve a relative degree of success, but then face the prospect of losing it all. That's the human condition. That's just the way it is. So you accept that people behave in those ways, but you always know that there is a way out. Personally, you can't make the whole world enlightened, but there is a way for people to realise the cessation of all that.
I find it really, the power. It seems very paradoxical that these two things of accepting everything. It's the way you talk about it. It sounds like there's a sort of a love for everything.
Love of life.
And yet, at the same time, and I can speak from experience, when I've got things wrong, or there's no pulling punches of being really clear about how things are. So there's a kind of a passion for action, if you like. It's not like it doesn't seem passive at times at all.
No, it's not passive.
So the expression.
It's not just like a passive. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's a difference between your starting position. If you start with the non-acceptance of resistance of a situation, then whatever you do, you'll create more mayhem and more chaos. If you start firstly from a position of acceptance, oh, it is like this, you can still change it. It's not saying that you just passively accept everything as it is. It's very dynamic. There is, we experience life and then we respond. There is no more of that passionate resistance. Doesn't mean that you can't intend and decide and then act.
Mm.
And in the point, in terms of teaching people, well, you learn over time when you can be very, very direct, and sometimes when you have to be direct, even when you recognise that means you might lose that person, but still you've got to be really direct with them because they've chosen a really wrong path. It's like observing someone running helter-skelter for the edge of a cliff.
Mm.
So what are you going to do? Just go, well, that's just the way life's unfolding. It's just life expressing itself.
Bye. Well, I mean,
that would be lacking in compassion, wouldn't it? Lacking in empathy.
When I think back, I'm thinking back to a time when I was getting things quite wrong, and you were kind of really cross with me, But the thing that really jumped out in my mind, the thing that actually shocked me into sort of, getting out of where I was actually, I remember the thought, this person cares enough to go to these lengths of, and that, to me, that was a kind of a compassion. That's how I perceived it. It was a compassionate.
Compassion
thing,
is
because
there's more than one.
You could have just gone, whatever, do what you want,
Yeah, and with some people it has been that, and some people, that's what I mean by sometimes you lose the person because they don't understand that. You could perceive it in so many different ways, can't you? For me personally, it was like, wow, this person actually cares to this extent, so it must be worth taking on board. And what allows you to do that is the lack of attachment. If you have an attachment to outcomes, if you want that person to like you more than you want to help them, then you're never going to do that, are you? You're just going to placate them, but they're not going to learn anything. But if you've got no attachment to the result, we're going to see what happens. And I think that's again why having the wherewithal and the courage perhaps to find an authentic teacher and allow yourself to be trained by that person is that if they're an authentic teacher, then they're not attached to you. They don't care whether you're, in that sense, don't care whether you're sitting in front of them or not. But you are, and therefore you're asking for help, and you've actually gone a bit haywire and a bit wrong, and we've got to bring you out, snap you out of this dream that you're in, and therefore it takes a short, sharp shock. That's not a lack of compassion at all. No. But I can appreciate that it could be perceived like that. But hey,
that's the whole.
It's all very unsatisfactory.